Panchakalpatarupascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kaipo, thank you for being here this evening for our Bhagavad Gita class. Tonight we're going to pick up where we left off in the 4th chapter. It'll be text number 3. So we've got a shorter purport here. Would anybody like to read the Sanskrit and the translation and the purport? If not, I'll go ahead and do that. Okay. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hetarutam. We're going to read the word for word here because we're going to return to it as we discuss the verse. Saha, the same. Eva, certainly. I am this. Maya, by me. Te, unto you. Adya, today. Yoga, the science of yoga. Prokta, unspoken. Puratana, very old. Bhaktaha, devotee. Asi, you are. Me, my. Sakha, friend. Cha, also. Iti, therefore. Rahasyam, mystery. He, certainly. Etat, this. Uttamam, transcendental. Here. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee, as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the great disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So there's a short purport, but there's quite a bit packed in here. One thing I just wanted to point out is sentence here. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. Sometimes people question why devotees sometimes write translations of the Bhagavad Gita when we already have Srila Prabhupada's. I've got three different Bhagavad Gitas here. One by, four including Prabhupada's. So I've got five because I got one that was given to me by somebody who's not in the category of, somebody gave it to me as a gift and I accepted it. I haven't read it, but it's just something it's interesting. There are so many copies of the Bhagavad Gita that are not translated by devotees. In any case, I've got Bhagavad Gita translated by Hridananda Maharaj. I've got one by like two other devotees, but I can't remember. Yogeshwar, who came to Vancouver about 10 years ago. He's got a really nice translation of the Bhagavad Gita, and I can't remember the other devotee's name. And I've got this. I don't know if you can see that. This is a book that's written by Burijan Prabhu. It actually has Prabhupada's translations of the Bhagavad Gita, but then Burijan offers more commentary. So why do that if Prabhupada's gone to all the trouble of translating the Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada here says that any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service. Prabhupada accepted this and even encouraged. There's one instance where Prabhupada encouraged one of his devotees to go ahead and do that. So, we might say that every time we sit down to speak, we might say, why should we speak? Prabhupada's already spoken everything. We should just give people books rather than say anything. But actually, when our own realizations are, when we use our own realization to express Krishna's message in the Bhagavad Gita, according to the time, place, and circumstances, then it's devotional service, and it's a form of connecting with people with the message of the Bhagavad Gita. Really not much different than speaking and giving a Bhagavatam class. We do this because it's pleasing to Krishna when devotees try to glorify him and talk about his glories. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, how not only is he pleased, but of course the devotees take great pleasure in glorifying Krishna together. So every time somebody translates Bhagavad Gita and in the line of Arjuna here, it's pleasing to Krishna. So that's a little side note. The main thing I wanted to focus on here is that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna why he's explaining to him this knowledge. He's saying that you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of the science. It's a mystery, a transcendental mystery. Of course, we could say that it's a mystery because it's beyond the modes of nature, which is, of course, mysterious for someone who's in the modes of nature. Trying to understand what is beyond the material energy is certainly mysterious. But this is even further a mystery, like the information that Krishna shares with Arjuna, because it's intimate knowledge. It's not just information about what's beyond like the modes of nature. It is, especially in this chapter, in the 4th chapter, Krishna starts revealing information about himself personally. Because Arjuna here will question this in the next verse. He'll say, how is it that I can understand that? Is it the next verse? Let me take a look here. Yeah, because in the previous verses, Krishna explained the disciplic succession, how this teaching appeared to be lost, but so now he's speaking it again. He originally spoke it to the sun god Vivishvan, etc. We already did that, and so now Arjuna is going to question this, and Krishna starts to reveal personal things about himself, about how he is actually transcendental. He remembers everything, and he explains why he comes to this world. And if one can, we're going to get to these verses, especially between now and like 4-9 or so, like the next 6 or 7 verses. Anybody who understands Krishna's nature, in the 9th verse of this chapter, Krishna says that they don't even have to take birth again in this material world by understanding these personal details about myself. So it's not just that Krishna is explaining what's beyond the material world in terms of being liberated from the modes of nature, which is mysterious to anybody who is in the modes of nature. It's beyond our experience. It's beyond the capacity of our material minds to even understand what mukti is, even to understand what it is to actually be liberated. So that itself is mysterious. But what's even more mysterious than that, the greatest mystery is Krishna himself. The greatest secret is Krishna himself. And Krishna reiterates that a number of times throughout the Gita. At one point he says that nobody knows him. So he's the most mysterious, and he's the greatest secret of all the Vedas. And now he's sharing information about his personal self directly to Arjuna because Arjuna is his friend. And I thought it would be interesting to explore the way that Krishna uses this word friend, or the significance of Arjuna being a friend here. Actually, the word in the Sanskrit is Sakha. So, we sometimes refer to the gopis, especially like the personal associates of Radharani, as the Sakhis, right? Lalita Sakhi, etc. So here's Sakha, like it's similar, but I guess this would be the male version of the word. But so very intimate friend. Let me go to another verse here. Before the class, I kind of picked out a few verses just to look at briefly, and then come back to a point. I know there's a point to this. Here in this is at the beginning of the 10th chapter, Krishna says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. Excuse me. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I've already explained." And here, when he's talking about friend, here it says, "Thinking you dear to me." Priya. Priya, Manaya, I don't know, I'm not a Sanskrit scholar here, but Priya obviously is one who's very dear to, and to is Krishna's mind or Krishna's self, Mana. So he's thinking of Krishna as being, of Arjuna as being very, very dear to him. So it's intimacy. These are words in Sanskrit that Krishna is choosing to describe Arjuna as his friend, but friend is just, the English word is insufficient. The Sanskrit, unpacks the intimacy that Krishna is conveying with the words to Arjuna. You're not just anybody, you're my dear friend, you're my close friend. So I can reveal things to you about me, and let's look at another verse where he says the significance of this. 1864. I hope that you can see my screen okay. I find this app really helpful for...
Yep, it is fine.
Okay, thank you. So, because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me. It is for your benefit. That's the word that Krishna uses here. Ishta Asi, you are dear. I mean, when we think about the Ishta Dev, that is one's worshipable, deity. So again, I don't want to go too far with the Sanskrit because I'm not um, like a Sanskrit scholar, but here it's very clear. He's reiterating that Arjuna is very dear. He's very very dear, and he emphasizes the importance of this relationship throughout the Bhagavad Gita. One more verse. Wait a minute here. Let's go to 1141. Hey, Sake, my dear friend. I mean, that word strikes me because we all so often refer to the Sakis, right? And it's like the most intimate associates of the Lord. And so here, thinking of you as my friend. Now, this is Arjuna, like also addressing Krishna in the same way. And here, this is, of course, in the 11th chapter, where now Arjuna has seen Krishna's universal form, and that intimate mood, which is there in their friendship, becomes eclipsed by the awe and reverence of seeing this universal form, which is not really Arjuna's um, natural relationship with Krishna. And so here in this moment of being overwhelmed by seeing Krishna's opulences in the shape of the universal form, and he is remembering the intimacy. And he's thinking, wow, maybe I went too far here in our familiarity of our intimacy. You are like so great, and I was thinking of you as my friend, when in fact you're so much greater. And of course, this is not ultimately a satisfying rapport for either Krishna or Arjuna, because their natural situation is one of intimacy. So as this chapter, 11 unfolds, Krishna returns to his two-armed form, and he says to Arjuna, now, be free of your anxiety and see the form that you actually desire to see, which is his two-armed form. And then this whole reverential mood in front of the universal form, it dissipates, and then again Arjuna is there with his beloved Krishna. Here, when he's in this moment of apologizing to Krishna for his intimacy, because of their intimate relationship, he refers to these different like rasas, you could say. He says, as a father tolerates the impudence of his son, or a friend tolerates the impertinence of a friend, or a wife tolerates the familiarity of her partner. So even in Arjuna's bewildered state in front of the universal form, he's still in his mind referring to these, like, he's referring to these different intimate rasas. This is like the parental ras, as a father and son, and then the friend here is a Sakya ras, and Madhurya here. So I just thought that was very interesting how he refers to that even in the 11th chapter. So that's one kind of friendship that is reiterated again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is referring to Arjuna as his friend. It's intimacy, and also Arjuna returns that to Krishna. It's like very very intimate, close, loving friendship. There is other kinds of friendship that are described in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's go here. Now, this one is like, the word is maitra here, friendly. And, one who is not envious but is kind, is a kind friend to all living entities. There's a lecture where Prabhupada talks about the different words that are used to describe friendship and how they're kind of different gradations of intimacy. And I couldn't find that. I didn't have an opportunity to find. I think it's a lecture, or it might have been in one of Prabhupada's books. I'm not sure. But so Mitra is like a friend, is somebody who is kind, um, and not an enemy. Specifically, not an enemy. And there is another kind of friend called Surit, and let me go to that one. I hope you don't. This isn't jumping around too much. I'm going to put this all together to make a point. But at the very least, it's interesting to see how friendship is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. It's Krishna is basically, um, you know, with out of affection, sharing his feelings with Arjuna as a dear friend. But he's also talking about how an enlightened person, somebody who is not in the modes of nature, is friendly toward all living entities. But that doesn't mean exactly the same kind of friend as the same kind of intensity of intimacy that's there between Krishna and Arjuna. But doesn't see, like, here, one who's not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities. So that's like, obviously there's a difference in intimacy there, where we can't have that level of intimacy with everyone. That's impossible. We can't have like a sense of like being the intimate, close, like Sakha type of friend with every single person, because we can't even know every single person. We don't have that capacity. Krishna does. We don't. But at the very least, we can be friendly towards. We can have friendly intentions. We would not look at others as enemies, but we would have a friendly disposition towards all living entities. And if we're able to even do that, then that's pleasing to Krishna. That's another way that friendship is used here. And then let's go to 918. Surit is used here, but again, Krishna saying, I'm the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I'm the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. So again, Krishna is describing his disposition towards everything, all living entities. It's not that intimacy that he experiences with Arjuna is by default there because we have our free will. Like, he doesn't impose that kind of closeness upon us.